Yes, it's another episode on Palestine. So, welcome everyone to episode 79. And hopefully, I will be having someone from Palestine on, or someone who's involved in the Palestinian groundwork from Gaza Sunbirds, and he will be explaining. I say hopefully because he is in a bit of a situation right now at the border at Egypt. And hi, brother, how are you?
Good brother, how are you doing?
I'm well. So where are you at now and what's the situation?
Well, alhamdulillah, I'm in Cairo at the moment. Everything is good. We're having a good time. Trying to sort out some things for the Sunbirds, so running around here. But yeah, everything's very good. Thank you. How are you doing? How's
I'm
everything?
good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So you are in Egypt now at the border? Oh.
No, no, there's no borders involved at the
Oh,
moment. No, no, I'm safely in
okay, okay.
Cairo. Yeah, everything is good.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So maybe you can share with us your about your organization, Gaza Sunbirds. I mean, you have been on the BBC and so on, and you did a wonderful interview. So what is your organization about?
Well, thank you, Walid. So, we're the Gaza Sunbirds. The Gaza Sunbirds is a paracycling team based in the Gaza Strip. We have 20 athletes and 5 members of staff who have been training in Gaza for about 3 years now with the hope of representing Palestine on the world stage at the Olympics. When the genocide started in Gaza, we reverted all of our efforts to distributing aid to our community. So the team on the ground, led by Ala Dali, by our captain, Captain Abu Ali over there on the ground as well, Captain Hazim, with Abdul Hakim Awad. They've been coordinating aid on the ground in Gaza from the start of the war till now, and they've managed to distribute around 60 tons worth of food and urgent supplies, something in the range of $120,000 worth of aid, and they've done this all on one leg and on their bikes. So that's a little bit about the Gaza Sunbirds.
Right. So it initially started off as a team training for the Olympics, and it coincidentally became a humanitarian organization. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. So
exactly.
you said,
It's really not in
yeah.
our hands. As athletes, we try our best to compete. We try our best to leave the Gaza Strip. Unfortunately, Gaza has been under a land, air, and sea blockade now for more than 20 years, almost. And so it's very difficult to be an athlete in Gaza. It's very difficult to have dreams in Gaza, and our consistent approach has been no to the impossible. We try to push forward despite everything. Our athletes, they all lost their legs as a result of previous Israeli aggressions and as a result of the occupation. Despite this, they never gave up on their dreams for becoming a professional athletes. And just like this, we keep pushing forward with our dream to leave Gaza and hopefully to represent Palestine on the world stage in the Olympics. Um, it's not really in our hands or in our circumstances, that we never wanted to become aid workers. It's never been our intention. But the situation in Gaza at this point is so bad that everybody has to do their part to help keep the situation alive. And so our guys, despite their disabilities, despite their circumstances, we have 25 members in the team. 20 of them are currently living in tents in Rafah. Despite all of this, they're still going out at least once a week and giving out food parcels and dietary parcels and trying to do their best. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. And I think that's such an important point that there has been a blockade. One of the talking points I always hear, they say, "Oh, Israel has left Gaza. Israel has left Gaza." Well, not really, right? There has been a blockade of air, sea, and land, right? One of the things that I wanted to really ask you about was, you said, I mean, it's heartbreaking, but you said with a smile. You said that um, it's difficult to have dreams in Gaza. What has it always been this way since? Has it gotten far worse since October 7?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, yeah, it's become impossible since October 7th. Like, even people don't have like a dream right now in Gaza is having a house for most people. It's having food, it's having water. We're well past the point where yeah, like people are having dreams. People just want the bloodshed to end. People want to survive. But even the most hopeful people I know in Gaza are starting to lose hope now with the way that the situation is going. 75% of buildings have been destroyed. sorry, if hospitals have been destroyed, more than 80% of residential buildings have been destroyed. Very, very shortly there will be no Gaza left to live in. And so when we're looking at the future now, people always want to look to the future with hope, with the idea that they can rebuild. But the extent of the damage at this point is almost unsurmountable. There's almost no way to recover from it. And this will naturally make people not able to dream. People's only dream now is to leave. To leave, to get food, to get shelter, to get water. And it breaks my heart to say this, I'd say, especially in the last week, the most hopeful people I know, that, even while the Israelis were bombing, they were building. I have people that I know that were building with wood, with nails, as the bombs were dropping overhead, trying to build toilets, trying to build kitchens so people can cook food. Even these people now, they're saying, why are we building? Why should we keep building?
Wow. So Karim, how often are you in Gaza, you personally?
Me, I've never had the chance to visit, unfortunately. Yeah, so my family is from 1948 Palestine. So we're actually originally from Haifa. I've never been allowed to go back. So my relationship with the athletes, with the entire team, has always been through the internet. We built this dream without ever having met. And I'm optimistic. I think we will meet one day. Hopefully, it will be one day soon. But yeah, so that's kind of our relationship. My co-founder, my partner, is Ala El-Dali. He's the original person who came up with the idea for the Gaza Sunbirds. Ala was a paracyclist a cyclist in the Gaza Strip. And for 6 years, he wasn't allowed to leave for any kind of competitions, nor with the West Bank athletes, nor even internationally. And 2018, Ala had the first opportunity to go and to travel. He would to go to Jakarta. It was going to actually be the Asian Games in Jakarta. He was 21 years old. It would have been the first time in his life that he was able to leave the Gaza Strip. And a few months before, he went to the Great March of Return. He went to protest as an athlete for his right to return to his historic homelands and for freedom of movement as well. There's never been freedom of movement in Gaza because of the Israeli control. Unfortunately, these demonstrations, they lasted 1 year. They were once a week. And in this period, 32,000 Palestinians were injured, and 125 ended up with amputations. And unfortunately, on that day, Ala was hit by an explosive illegal Israeli sniper bullet in the leg. It caused severe damage to his leg. And within 8 days, because he was rejected medical leave as well by the Israelis, he had to get an amputation. So that's actually when I met Ala. That's when I got involved in this story. And my job on the international side is to just facilitate the dream in the places that he can't get to. Normally what he tells me is, Karim, I'm Ala in Gaza, you're Ala outside of Gaza. So pretty much pick up the slack that I can't pick up internationally because I can't leave. And thankfully, like this, we have a lot of trust. He's like a brother to me, we've been making this work one way or another.
So thank you for that. That was extremely moving. So most of the cyclists, they have had their legs amputated because of attacks, or all of them. Yeah.
Almost all of them, yeah. I think bar two of the athletes, I think one of them had early, some kind of cancer in his leg or some kind of infection in his leg. He had to get an amputation because he was rejected medical leave from Gaza. These are systemic forms of violence, If a border isn't violent unless it causes someone's leg to get amputated because they can't get the medical attention that they need. And this is a very common thing in Gaza. Gaza has one of the highest rates of breast cancer amputation in women, for example, because there's simply no chemotherapy on the Strip. And so women, instead of being able to leave and get treatment, they have to opt for breast amputations as the only option. So I think it's all forms of violence, even if it isn't direct violence, even if it's not a bullet or a missile that's hitting somebody. The system itself still causes damage every single day.
Thank you. So even if it's not directly bullets, it's still directly or indirectly because of the repression.
100%, yeah, because of the occupation, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you so much. So just now when you said even the most hopeful people have no more hope yet, right? Then what about what would your message be to people outside? I mean, clearly the fact that you are doing this means you still have hope, right?
I don't think I'll ever lose hope, To be honest with you, I don't lose hope because of the people in my life. Um, I owe everything to this team and to what the guys do on the ground. Saying that
No problem.
I don't just believe it's our dream, I believe it's our right to be able to pursue our mission. And so, as long as we have air left in our lungs, I think we're going to keep going. I think at this point, the most important thing is for the war to stop. But if we want Gaza to remain alive, we need to change the current circumstances to allow aid and support to come in faster. That will never be possible under the current occupation. The current occupation has been limiting aid supplies into Gaza since it was taken control of by the existing government there. Um, you can say that, like, in normal times there was between 140 to 200 aid trucks coming into Gaza. That's when there was 500 aid trucks going into Gaza normally. Sorry, this was back when there's a 40% unemployment rate, 48% unemployment rate. So historically, Gaza has the highest rate of unemployment in the world. Now the unemployment rate on the strip is around 98%. The average number of trucks coming in is gone down to 20 trucks. So what this paints the picture of is, under the current circumstances of the occupation, as long as the Palestinians don't have the freedom to bring in resources and the support that they need into the strip, rebuilding Gaza and making it a livable space is going to be an impossibility. You know, even if the war was to end tomorrow, even if a ceasefire was to be declared, there has to be a grave change in the circumstances on the ground to allow for the support that's needed to come in and build it in a timely fashion. And I say timely fashion because as long as it's not bearable for life, people will always do what's in their best interest and try their best to leave. If you want there to be a future for Gaza, everything must be expedited. The world has stood by and watched it be burnt to the ground. And I think the very least that we need when this war ends, and it will end very soon, is for the entire world to come and help us pick up brick by brick and rebuild what, in my opinion, will never be rebuilt completely, never in the same way that it is. Um, so yeah, I mean, inshallah, with time, things will improve. But yeah, this is kind of the immediate future.
Okay. Thank you so much. So you are based in the UK, but you're mostly in Egypt nowadays, or?
No, I'm based in the UK most of the time. Yeah, I'm here on a little holiday trip, you could say. Uh, yeah, and yeah, I'm based in London normally. We run most of the Sunbirds operations between London and Gaza. We have a large volunteer base now as well, thankfully, in London that helps us facilitate all of the international work that we do.
Okay. How's the mood like in London?
The mood in London is very tense. The government's recently come to a decision to put even more suppression on the Palestinian protests.
Yeah.
As you know, this year is an electoral year in the United Kingdom, and both the Labour government and the Tory government, they're both extremely scared about public sentiment towards them because of the ongoing genocide. Of course, the United Kingdom has taken the public stance now of calling for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, or not unconditional, but an immediate ceasefire and permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. But with that, we're still far away from a point where they're taking any decisive action against the Israelis when it comes to blocking arms or to enforcing some kind of restriction to allow or to push for the ceasefire to actually occur. So right now it's all empty words, and as we approach the election cycle, I think around 78% of Brits at the moment are in support for a permanent and immediate ceasefire. What's left now is for our elected officials in our government to take the stance of the people, the stance that the people are pushing for. Now, yeah, unfortunately, there's complications when it comes to this, and they're trying to make it more difficult for us to go out and to protest, to shed light on what's happening in Palestine. But you know, as always, we have faith in our democratic system that we'll be able to continue speaking. So we're not scared of that. I think we're going to keep going with all of the actions that we're taking on the ground to pressure the government, because in the end of the day, to us, it's not about politics. It's not about who's in charge. It's about saving the human lives and the lives of our brothers and sisters that right now, you know, are being valued for currency. So that's yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that answers
It,
your question.
yeah, it does, it does. And you know, often the only language politicians understand is the vote, right? And I think in Rochdale, it just happened, right? George Galloway just won, which I think is It's extremely positive. But the reaction by the government wasn't that, oh, this is a wake-up call, people have sent us a signal. It was that this man is dangerous, the ideas he are doing, proposing are dangerous, the protests are dangerous. So it seems like he is more bent on more repression rather than listening to the people. So for those who are unfamiliar with what I said, so a person who, a veteran politician by the name of George Galloway recently won the Rochdale by-election, and he said this is for God. Yeah.
Sorry about that,
No,
Walid.
it's okay. Don't worry. It makes this more authentic. Yeah. So have you been? So you've never gone back to Gaza? Have you been back to the West Bank or Jerusalem? Not
I've
at
not
all.
been anywhere, no.
Oh,
No, I've never been.
right.
Yeah.
So hopefully one day you and your family are able to return. So
We will, we will. Life is long, inshallah. We'll get many chances. I'm not skeptical of that. It's just a matter of time.
do you see this time being different? It's different in terms of the grief and suffering, of course, but do you see that the world's public opinion has sort of changed a little bit?
I think completely, yeah. I think if anything, as Palestinians internationally and in Palestine, we have won the war for truth. There's no one in the world now that has not an awareness of what's happening, and there's no one in the world right now that doesn't believe that what's happening is unjust. I mean, of course, there's people that are against this still, but I'd say that the mass majority of the world stands with Palestine. And I think the reality that the Israelis need to become comfortable with is that this is the truth now. And really, any extension of this is just an extension of the human loss and the suffering on both sides of the war, particularly on the side of the Gazans, but also on their side. Their men, their women, their children are forced to live in fear as a result of the
Yeah.
occupation. The only way forward is peace, really, and peace starts with liberation. So, yeah.
If I were to ask you, brother, which one would you want more? Do you want peace more or do you want justice more?
I want liberation. I think liberation requires a combination of both. It's not one or the other. You yes, surely there's generations of grief to be made up for, but it's not a question of justice. Justice is important, but justice also might not come. Like for example, indigenous people in America, black people in America, they've been waiting for justice for 500 years, 600 years. You know, the most important thing is liberation. Once you work out liberation, justice comes next, and freedom is a long journey. It's about starting somewhere and continuing to push forward.
Hmm. Thank you. As you know, one of the chants in the marches in London is no justice, no peace, right? Um, and I think when you say that people have given up hope and they just want the occupation to end, does that mean that maybe the desire for justice is decreasing and people want liberation and that is the ultimate form of justice, and whether people are punished later on, that's irrelevant right now?
I mean, I think people will be punished. If it's not today, it will be in 10 years' time. So anyone who's taking this stance right now is really extending the inevitable. But these are war crimes that have been committed. In the end of the day, it's not a joke. It's not you're not violating. It's not a traffic fine that
Right.
you're violating. It's you're slaughtering 30,000 lives and injuring 120,000 people, almost destroying 80% of residential homes and 75% of hospitals. So yeah, I think from the point that we're at now, justice is inevitable. It will come. Hopefully it will come. But the most important thing is liberation. It's freedom.
Right. And I think for the rest of the world, most of the world is not used to dealing with such massive grief and suffering, right? So how do you deal with that?
Well, you don't. But there's no time for despair. We don't have the luxury of despair right now. Despair is a luxury for those who have time. Unfortunately, when you're consistently trying to make ends meet for the most basic of necessities, you don't have time to sit and feel sorry for yourself. So wallah, everyone is sick and everyone is tired and everyone is mentally ill at this point. Everyone doesn't know what the future is going to look like and everyone is traumatized. But do we have the time to sit and wallow in pity and in sorrow? No, we don't have it. We need to survive, and we love life more than we love sitting in despair. And so despair isn't a luxury. We keep pushing forward, but not to be mistaken with the cost and the weight that this is taking on people's lives. Because, you know, no one can go through this and deal with it. There's no dealing with it.
Hmm.
That's the unfortunate reality. But we're strong, and the Palestinians are strong, and the Gazans are stronger. And in the end of the day, we have a love for life, we have a love for family, we have a love for friends, and even if we give up on ourselves, we don't give up on each other. And so we have to stay strong and we have to stay together. And in the end of the day, that's all anyone can do in times like this.
So what has been the support, like you mentioned that, I mean, you don't give up. And somebody wrote here, before I get to my question, somebody wrote here, Palestinians are the best of us. And it's very easy to romanticize the Palestinians, but I think there is a lot of truth in that. I think if it were other populations, this matter would have been ended in surrender long ago, right? But it's been 75, 76 years, and Palestinians are still going in spite of the massive tragedies, suffering. Somebody else said the Palestinian people have so much strength and dignity. I think it was a Palestinian poet who said the Palestinians are not living under occupation but above occupation. So yeah, what has been the support like, Karim, or lack of support from the world, you think?
You know, I mean, I can speak for the team. We can't do anything without our supporters. And we're all eternally grateful for the faith and the trust that people have put in us, both to represent Palestine on the international stage and to support our brothers and sisters in our motherland. Um, Support is everything, man. In the end of the day, we need the world to be on our side, and the world has been on our side. We've been doing the Athletes for Palestine campaign, for example. We've had more than 100 athletes so far come and sign our pledge, to support Palestine and to pledge for an end to the occupation and for an immediate ceasefire. The cycling community internationally, they've been organizing bike rides. We've had on average about 35 cities riding out every 2 weeks for the Gaza Sunbirds, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of all of the international solidarity efforts, of all of the international protesting efforts and happening around the world to raise awareness and to change and like the minds of people and to win over their hearts. So I think the support is everything. The support fuels the operation. The support fuels our hearts and lets us able to, sorry about that, to keep going forward.
Could you speak a little to the support you have had from people of different races and religions?
Yeah, of course I can.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So at the moment, we have a lot of comrades around the world from all different backgrounds, races, and religions. I think what you find often is that the Palestinian cause is a unifying cause for people from around the world. We currently have a lot of Jewish organizers that organize with us, Christian organizers that organize with us. It's not just a Muslim topic, it's not just a Muslim issue, and we're very grateful for it.
What about the Palestinian Christians as well? Can you just speak a little about that?
Of course, I mean, look, the problem is whether you're Palestinian, if you're Christian, or if you're Muslim, it doesn't matter. You're still not Jewish, which in the eyes of the Israeli state means that you're not as worthy to the land. So Palestine is very much a Christian issue just as much as it is a Muslim issue.
Indeed. As anyone who follows Reverend Manta Isaac would know. So, Brother Karim, just one final thing. If you had a message to the world, right? What would that message be today? Because you say public sentiment has sort of changed throughout the world, but a lot of people are still wondering what can they do for you. So, what would your message be to the rest of the world?
My message would be that we're approaching the final push of what needs to be done in order to stop the current war and to push for a complete end to the occupation. I think the world needs to get ready for a slightly longer fight. I think a ceasefire is hopefully imminent. I don't think that what's happening can keep happening for much longer, but I do believe that we're in this. We need to be in this for the long run. We need to have a long sight with this, and we need to be willing to keep pushing forward until the occupation ends. It's a big electoral year around the world. Make sure you use your vote to make a difference. If you're lucky enough to have one, many of us are from countries where you can't actually vote and you can't make these kinds of decisions. And to the whole world, keep sharing the stories, keep sharing the narratives, keep Palestine in the front and into the center of what's happening. It's been a 75-year journey to get to the point that we're at now, and this is really the final breath. So the entire world, I think, is ready. I think the entire world is going at it, and I think we just need to keep doing the job that we're doing. We need to keep pushing on the press to reveal more of the truth, continue scrutinizing politicians for their actions who are complicit in what's happening now, and hopefully everything else is a matter of time. Although, to be honest, time is not a luxury right now, and we're already out of it. And so, yeah, that's kind of it. And my message, I guess, to the world governments is, please stop what's happening. That's all. I just want my friends, my family, my people to be alive. And I'm sure everybody that's Palestinian, everybody that's Arab, everybody that's international, anyone from any different background feels the same way right now about the situation in Gaza. And so yeah, that would be my message.
I know. I said last question, but because you mentioned the votes, right? So a lot of people, as you know now, in America, there is an uncommitted campaign in the Democratic primary. A lot of people who are pro-Palestine are mobilizing, and they are sending a message to Joe Biden. If Joe Biden continues down this path, do you think people who are pro-Palestine should not turn up to vote? Because the argument would be that, oh, if you don't do that, Trump will win. But so what? I would say don't turn up to vote. Yes, Trump is bad, but it's not exactly that a genocide is good as well. And Joe Biden is definitely enabling it. So what do you say to that?
No, I always like to say I don't have many in-depth political analysis or opinions on this kind of stuff. I'm a sports team manager in the end of the day, and I've turned into an aid worker because of what's happening now. I'd say, yeah, I have no opinion on the U.S. elections. I think from the perspective of the United States, we're probably going to be in a bad position, whoever's voted into office. For many reasons, I would say that Trump probably isn't the person that we want. Granted, he probably moved the embassy to Jerusalem and
indeed
pushed forward things, but at the same time, Biden's been standing by and watching the genocide happen. That's for the Americans to worry about and to solve. I'm not going to get involved in that topic. But yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, brother, and I really hope that things will get better for you. Thank you so much for your generosity of time and for doing whatever you do. I know it doesn't mean much, but I know a lot of people, their hearts are with you, and their hearts are with your people and the Palestinians. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate this.
Walid, I really appreciate you having us on, sharing our story, and our hearts are together, my man. So hopefully we'll all be calmer soon and things will be okay.
Inshallah.
We just have to keep on.
Hopefully we'll meet in a free Palestine, inshallah.
I'm sure we will.
Okay. Take care, brother.
Masalam. Peace out, brother.